This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. I have Chapter 25 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her coming up on this episode. Now, last episode, we got a glimpse at what Azimuth was attempting. Like himself, a large group of other ancient enemy elite sent their biomechanical energy matrices ahead into the future using their tachyon-driven technology. Azimuth had been bioengineering new bodies for them and had rigged a receiver up to these bodies, created out of the converted travel chair of Inokata, a relic of the ancient enemy that Alibi Jones had unknowingly tracked down for Azimuth. Given the enormous energies involved, something went wrong, and all of the energies of the elite of the ancient enemy tried to take over the last remaining body, Azimuth's. One physical body could not contain these energies, and it dissolved away as they tried, leaving just a massive, roiling, amorphous tangle of energies, torn from their tachyon time stream, and now hungry for physical substance and form. Which can't be good. Now, meanwhile, back on Kismet, on the planet Kismet, where Alibi Jones is supposed to be a dead man, Alibi waits for his former friend, the detour Kit, to be brought out to an ersatz exercise yard. Kit is being held by the planet's overlord, Rene Laveillur, and will soon be executed by him. Unless Alibi Jones can free him, with help from the bounty hunter Brady Thomas, and Alibi's on-and-off girlfriend, Katie Ramsey, who he's also attempting to rescue. We'll join Alibi, Thomas, and Katie as they wait for Kit in Chapter 25 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her, coming up on Glow in the Dark Radio. Not much in the way of book news, so I just want to give a nice big thank you to patrons. My patrons keep this whole thing going. You should thank them too if you're just a listener and you don't participate in the patronage, because the patrons help crowdfund Glow in the Dark Radio. That's why there aren't any advertisements, just promotions for other podcasts that I've been running for years. We support each other. Old school podcasting. But yeah, that's why I don't have, commercials and things that are so annoying. Why I don't have sponsorships I read and such like that. It's thanks to patrons. So if you want to help out and become a patron, just head to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. Now, you can just sign up for free if you'd like, but there's a $2, $5, and $10 level that helps sustain the podcast. And again, a big thank you to you if you are one of my patrons who help do just that and keep this whole thing going. Again, the address is patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. We're going to get into Chapter 25 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
Hi, I'm JC. My co-host Cindy and I host the Fix It Home Improvement Podcast. We cover projects that every homeowner should know and top-rated products for home and garden. You can check it out on your favorite podcast app. It's called Fix It, Fixit, Home Improvement.
Now here's Chapter 25 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on Glow in the Dark Radio. When do you think they'll let Kit loose? Alibi asks. My stomach's rumbling. You got anything to eat on your ship, Thomas? Standard shipboard rations. Nothing to get excited about, Brady Thomas answers. Don't think about it too much, kid. Still have no idea when we'll see your detour friend. Alibi, Katie, and Thomas climbed a tree next to the concourse leading from the city's outer walk to the exercise yard, and then got up on top of the boxy, man-made snake of a passage made of an opaque, dark composite material. They walked atop the concourse to the end above the exercise yard, their current perch, where they now wait for Kit and his captors to appear. Are you sure that'll work? Katie asks, nodding at the tube in Thomas's hands. It's an old weapon, girl. Classic pea shooter. Spit dart. Call it what you want, he muses, holding it up. Works well. Just gotta be sure you put your mouth up to the right end. Oh, and be sure to exhale, never inhale. He smiles. You know, with my perfectly weighted darts tipped with insta-kill, it's a classic perfected. Thomas chuckles, amusing himself. We're hiding in the bush. We're gonna whack the detour's guards. They used to call this bushwhacking, Thomas says, still riffing. Shh, Alibi warns the others. They hear sounds beneath them. Kit and his guards have appeared in the doorway below. Kit enters the yard and somersaults across the bare dirt. Coming to rest on the other side of the yard, he begins to stretch out his arms, rolling his head along with the stretch. He rises up onto his feet and begins a detour stretching discipline routine, somewhat akin to human martial arts. Two guards are with Kit. They're still standing in the doorway below Alibi, Thomas, and Katie, just out of sight, and out of range of Thomas's pea shooter. Come on, Thomas whispers. Step out. Kit continues his contortions across the yard from them. The guards remain below them, inaccessible. Alibi, Katie, and Thomas wait. And wait. Alibi begins to worry. What if they never come out of there? Alibi wishes he could make the men below him move with his mind. Come on, walk out into the yard. Finally, one of the guards calls over to Kit. Time's almost up, Kit. Kit seems to ignore the guard, continuing with his exercise. The shouting guard walks out from underneath them as he enters the yard to call to Kit again. Whoosp! Brady Thomas shoots a slim dart. The guard grabs at the back of his neck where the dart hits, as if swatting at a bug. Kit, time's up! The guard crumbles into a heap on the ground. The second guard comes running out to his friend. Whoosp! Missed. Brady Thomas curses as he reloads. Damn. The second guard turns at the sound. Whoosp! The dart ticks him in the right eye. He falls on top of the first guard. Kit walks over, looking up at them. Took you long enough, Kit purrs. You were no help, Alibi retorts. Come on, jump up. We're getting you out of here. I promised your father. I care little for your promises, and I must wonder at my father's choice in allies, Kit says. Alibi scowls. Kit is deliberately not looking at him. Before you get up here, toss up those guards' guns, Thomas calls to Kit. The detour paws at the corpses and removes the two weapons. He hands them up to Thomas, who leans over the edge to gather them. Then Kit draws down on his haunches and, springing, launches himself up onto the top of the doorway, next to his three would-be rescuers. Thomas keeps one gun for himself and hands Alibi the other. No offense to you other two, Thomas says, but you both probably have killbots in your blood. Makes you unreliable. Which reminds me. Thomas digs in his jumper pocket and pulls out the other silver canister. He hands it to Kit. You're gonna need this later. It'll flush the dead bots out of your system, after we run you through the tannin booth sort of machine. Thank you, Kit says. He still refuses to look at Alibi. Alibi circles around to make the Catman face him. Come on, Kit! Stop being like this! I'm your friend! Alibi demands. You are not my friend. I am not your friend. I do not want your help, Kit says. Jeesh, Thomas exclaims. Don't have to be friends. And I don't care if you want help or not, Kit. You're getting it. Just gotta stick together long enough to get out of here and get you back to your father, he says. Then we get paid and you two can kill each other or whatever. Mercenary, Kit observes. Man's gotta make a living. I'm no fool, Thomas laughs. Alibi, already angry, turns and snaps at him. What are you laughing at? You! Look at you, Mr. Rescuer. You got a girl who doesn't want you or your help, and an alien friend who says he ain't your friend and doesn't want your help neither. So I gotta wonder, what the hell, kid? Damn, look, I'm trying, okay? Alibi protests. Can we get going now? Sure, kid, Brady Thomas answers him. Why don't you lead the way? The four of them jump down from their perch and make their way back on the path to the place where Alibi, Brady, and Katie left the hover car. Alibi has his hand on the car's door when a familiar and unwelcome voice calls out to him from behind. Alibi Jones, you are a very stupid man, and soon you'll be a very dead one. Peterson. Alibi is facing the hover car, gun in his hand. He knows Peterson is somewhere behind him. Wish I had eyes in the back of my head. He hears shuffling noises. Sounds like more of Peterson's men. Must have been hiding in the trees. Shit, Brady says softly. Sorry, kid. Looks like they found us. Drop the gun, Peterson says to Alibi. You, too, old man. Who you calling old? Alibi catches movement out of the corner of his eye. A reflection in the hovercar window. Peterson. Looks like he's moving closer. Slowly. You, ya fool, Peterson says to Thomas. No fool like an old fool. We've worked with you before, Thomas. You've been a welcome guest here on Kismet. Why'd you have to go get messed up with a persona non grata, like Jones? From where Alibi stands, looking at the reflection in the hovercar window, it looks like Peterson's head is turned so he can talk to Thomas. Now or never. Alibi whips around, bringing the gun up and firing at the place Peterson should be as he does. Flash! The violent beam blasts from the front of Alibi's power rifle and slices, crackling through the air, to cut up and through the torso of Peterson. Peterson's head, shoulders, and right arm slide down off the rest of his body, sliced off by the beam. They hit the dirt with a wet thud. Alibi can't spare the time to watch his handiwork. A small part of his mind quickly registers the fact he's hit his mark, as he turns and blasts one of Peterson's men standing next to Katie. Flash! The man falls, a smoking hole cut through him. Alibi spins to blast another of Peterson's men, this one advancing on Brady Thomas, as the old man stoops to grab back up the rifle he dropped on Peterson's command. Flash! Peterson's thug goes down in a smoking heap next to Thomas. Look out, Alibi! Thomas shouts at him. Thomas stands back up and returns Alibi's favor, firing to Alibi's left side, past the hovercar. Flash! Oh! Another gun-toting henchman of Peterson's drops, one sneaking around to come up behind Alibi. Luckily, Thomas spotted him first. Flash! Alibi fires and takes out a third minion. There are three more, and they begin to fire as they come to their senses after the shock and surprise. Flash! 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 Alibi dives to the ground next to the hovercar. Lying on the ground, he holds the rifle over his head as he rolls under the hovercar. He rolls out the other side and into a prickly bush. Ow! He yells involuntarily. Flash! Flash! Energy beams bolt past Alibi's position, but don't connect with either him or the hovercar. Alibi gets up into a crouch and readies his rifle to fire. Flash! Thomas fires and hits one of the men in the head, which dissolves. "Damn, kid! These energy rifles of Laveillur's are pretty nasty," Thomas exclaims. Alibi rises and brings his rifle up over the top of the hovercar. Flash! The upper torso of the man he hit disappears, blasted off and falling behind him. Alibi looks around from his relative cover behind the hovercar. He doesn't see any more of Peterson's men. They could be hiding in the trees. Alibi scans the trees. As he looks for targets, Katie crawls on all fours around the hovercar to join him. She's grabbed a gun from one of the fallen men. She takes a position next to Alibi. Brady Thomas stands with his rifle at ready on the other side of the car. Kit is nowhere to be seen. "Where did Kit go?" Alibi asks. A voice cries out, but ends in a gurgle. Kit then reappears. There is blood on his fur. "We should go. Now," Kit says with quiet urgency. "Right," Alibi agrees. The Catman's words jolt him into action. Alibi opens the hovercar's door and climbs in front on the passenger side. Brady Thomas gets in next to Alibi to drive. Katie and Kit climb in the back. "Strap in, folks! It's going to be a bumpy ride!" Thomas calls out. He punches the control panel, and the hovercar lifts higher off the ground. The car's rear end dips down as he points the front up and hits the accelerator. "Yeah!" Thomas lets out a whoop as the hovercar jumps into the Kismet sky. Brady leads the hovercar up in an arc around the outside landward edge of the city. "Gotta hope no one was monitoring through Peterson back there," Thomas says as he drives. "Monitoring through?" Alibi asks. "Yeah," Thomas answers. "Most of Laveillur's top men are wired up. Wetware, security monitors, the works." "But that's illegal," Alibi says. "Where? Not here," Thomas cracks back. "This is Kismet, kid. If they were watching through Peterson's eyes, they know you're here. She's loose, and with you. And so is the furry guy." "Shit. Worst of all, they know I'm with you," Brady sighs. "So let's hope they haven't been watching us, huh? We'll know when we get to the port. If it's locked down, they know." "If it's locked down," Katie says, "we're fucked." That was Chapter 25 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her, a part of the Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus on Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. That was an action-packed chapter. They've grabbed Kit and Katie. Alibi Jones even took down Peterson. Now they head with Brady Thomas for the spaceport and, hopefully, escape. But as Katie pointed out, if the port is locked down, they could be fucked. So we'll see if their good luck so far holds out as we get into Chapter 26 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Her on our next episode. And this is exactly the point that Federico Guillen captures on the front cover drawing. The illustration on the front cover is of this escape to the spaceport. Pretty cool, as is most of Federico Guillen's work. I didn't have much in the way of book news, so I was just thanking patrons. Thank you, if you're a patron, for keeping the podcast going. And I'd love to have you as a patron if you're enjoying the podcast and you'd like to support it. Head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. You can do so for $2, $5, or $10 a month. It's all voluntary. It's kind of the crowdfunding of this podcast. And that is all for this week. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2025 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. CC by NC-ND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.